Stop scrolling right now, chosen one. If you are the outlier who has always felt like the black sheep of your bloodline, do not skip this video. Your spirit guided you here because you are the only one awake while others sleep. Exactly 72 hours ago, something shifted violently in the atmosphere. You likely felt a crushing heaviness in your chest, or a sudden, overwhelming urge to weep at 3 a.m. without knowing why. You have been battling in the trenches for years, feeling isolated and misunderstood, but what you felt this week was not just anxiety or exhaustion. You were experiencing a massive timeline shift. The enemy launched this spiritual attack to silence your main character energy because he knows you are dangerously close to a quantum leap. But God stepped in and blocked it. What was sent to break you was actually a necessary system update for your soul. In this video, I will reveal why the angels are currently silent in awe of your resilience and how this pain is the undeniable proof that you have finally entered your long-awaited vindication season. You are not cursed. You are simply built different. Type 777 in the comments right now if you are ready to break the cycle and receive this revelation. I want you to take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Now, I want you to imagine something that might shock you. We have spent our entire lives looking up to the angels. We see them as perfect. We see them as flawless beings of pure light. And because they are perfect, we often look at ourselves in the mirror and feel ashamed. We see our scars. We see our mistakes. We see the messy, broken parts of our lives, and we think we are less than them. But what if I told you that is a lie? What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, the angels are looking at you? And they are not looking down with pity. They are looking down with a trembling kind of respect. Because you possess something they will never have. You have an unfair advantage that can only be forged in the fire. To understand why, we have to talk about how angels were created. Imagine a child who has lived their entire life inside a plastic bubble, a perfectly sterile environment. The air is filtered. The temperature is always 72 degrees. There are no germs, no bacteria, no viruses. This child is perfect. Their skin is flawless. They have never been sick a day in their life. That sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But there is a fatal flaw in that perfection. Because that child has never been exposed to dirt, they have never developed an immune system. If you take that child out of the bubble and expose them to the real world for just 5 minutes, the common cold would destroy them. Their purity is actually their weakness. This is exactly how angels exist. They live in a dimension of absolute, unfiltered glory. They have never known hunger. They have never known heartbreak. They have never been betrayed by a best friend they trusted with their life. They have never had a spouse look them in the eye and lie to them. They have never had to survive the trenches of a toxic workplace or a broken family. They are pure light, but they have no resistance to darkness. This explains the ancient law that terrified the heavens. The law said that if an angel touches darkness, they fall instantly. Look at Lucifer. He was the brightest of them all. But the moment he touched the darkness of pride, he didn't just get sick. He was corrupted forever. There was no coming back. There was no redemption arc. It was one strike and you are out. Because beings of pure light have no divine immunity. They are like that child in the bubble. One germ of evil destroys them completely. But then, there is you. Look at your life. You were not born in a bubble. You were born on a battlefield. You were born into a fallen world, surrounded by what I call matrix agents. These are the people who were assigned to break you from the moment you took your first breath. Think about the narcissist who tormented you. Think about that pain was not a punishment. That pain was a pressure testing. Every time you were betrayed, your soul was developing antibodies. Every time you were knocked down and forced to get back up, your spirit was building muscle. You were being exposed to the virus of evil over and over again, and instead of killing you, it made you immune. You are walking around with a level of divine immunity that makes the angels tremble. You have touched the darkness. You have lived in it. You have navigated through the valley of the shadow of death. And yet, look at you. You are still standing. You are still kind. You still have a heart that wants to love. This is why you are a spiritual asset to the kingdom. The angels realized that humanity had undergone a massive evolution. They are seeing you do something impossible for them. They see you enter a dark situation. Maybe it is a confrontation with a toxic person. Maybe it is a legal battle. Maybe it is standing up for yourself against an abuser. You step into that darkness. You use your power. And then you step back into the light. You don't fall as Lucifer did. You don't lose your status in heaven. You simply wash your hands and keep moving. You can do shadow work without being consumed by the shadow. When an angel sees darkness, they have to flee or fall. When you see darkness, you roll up your sleeves and take out the trash. This brings us to the most misunderstood part of your nature. The part of you that religion tried to make you feel guilty about. I'm talking about your dark side. For years, you have been told that to be spiritual means to be nice, to be soft, to be a doormat. You were told to turn the other cheek until your neck broke. And because you are a high-value individual, you tried to do that. You tried to be the peacemaker. But deep down, there is a warrior inside you. There is a part of you that gets angry when you see injustice. There is a part of you that wants to flip the table. And I am here to tell you, that is not your flesh. That is not a sin. That is God mode. We forget that the same Jesus who held children in his lap also made a whip of cords and drove the money changers out of the temple. That was not nice. That was necessary. That was him accessing the warrior frequency to protect his father's house. We forget that King David was a man after God's own heart. He wrote the most beautiful psalms. He was a harp player, a lover, a poet. That was his light side. But when he saw Goliath mocking his God, he didn't pick up a harp. He picked up a rock. He severed the head of the giant. That was his dark side. That was his Sigma mindset. He stood alone when the entire army was scared, and he did what had to be done. So, when the angels look at you, they don't see a sinner. They see a chosen one who has mastered the balance. They see someone who has the range to be both the lamb and the lion. You have a character development arc that is far more complex than any angel. They are one-dimensional. They are only light. But you are multidimensional. You have walked through the fire and you didn't burn. You have walked through the flood, and you didn't drown. You have dealt with energy vampires who tried to suck the life out of you, and you are still here, glowing. That is the glow-up that matters. It is not about looking younger. It is about your spirit becoming invincible. The enemy thought that by sending you through trauma, he would destroy you. He thought that if he sent enough pain, you would become bitter. He thought you would become just like him, dark, cold, empty. But you surprised everyone. You took the bricks he threw at you, and you built a fortress. You took the pain. That is why you are still here. That is why you didn't give up when you wanted to, because you are part of the inner circle of souls who were designed for this specific time in history. You were built for this timeline shift. So stop apologizing for your scars. Stop trying to hide your past. Stop feeling like a damaged failure. Your damage is your credentials. Your wounds are your medals. When you walk into a room, the spiritual atmosphere shifts because you carry the weight of victory. The demons know who you are. They know they can't trick you because you have seen their playbook before. You have the receipts. You know their games. You can smell a lie from a mile away. An angel might get tricked because they are innocent. But you are not just innocent. You are wise. You are wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. That combination is lethal to the kingdom of darkness. You have paid a heavy price to be who you are. You have accumulated a lot of what feels like karmic debt from the people around you, carrying their burdens, fixing their messes. But let me tell you, the bill is paid. It is time for you to realize that you are not the victim in this story. You are the one the story is about. You are the anomaly, the outlier, the one who broke the mold. So the next time you feel that heaviness, the next time you feel that old familiar pain trying to creep back in, I want you to shift your perspective. Don't say, "Oh no, here we go again." Instead, I want you to say, "I recognize this territory. I have been here before and I know the way out." Activate your divine immunity. Remind yourself that you are built different. You have a capacity that makes heaven stand in awe. You can touch the darkness to protect your light. And that, my friend, is a power that money cannot buy and angels cannot earn. It is yours. And it is time you started using it. Now, I want us to get very practical. I want to talk about what this looks like in your real, everyday life. Because for many of you, this shift happened recently. Maybe it was 72 hours ago. Maybe it was just last week. I want you to think about a specific person. You know who I am talking about. Think about that person who has been draining your spirit for years. The one who knows exactly which buttons to push to make you feel guilty. The one who uses your own kindness against you. Usually, when they come at you with their drama, you crumble. You try to explain yourself. You try to fix it. You apologize for things you didn't even do just to keep the peace. You have spent years walking on eggshells, trying not to wake the beast. But this time was different. Picture the scene. They came at you with the old tricks. Maybe it was the crocodile tears. Maybe it was the silent treatment. Maybe it was that twisted way they twist your words to make you look like the bad guy. They came with the same old script. And in the modern world, the younger generation has a name for people like this. They call them NPCs, non-player characters. Imagine a background character in a movie who has no soul, no depth, and just repeats the same 3 lines over and over again. That is what you were dealing with. You realized that this person wasn't really engaging with you. They were just reciting a toxic script. They are what we call the ops. They are the opposition. They are distractions sent by the enemy to keep you looking at the problem instead of looking at God. But in that moment, 72 hours ago, something inside you snapped. But it didn't snap into rage. It snapped into clarity. You didn't scream. You didn't cry. You didn't beg them to understand you. Instead, you entered God mode. You said no. You said, "I will not accept this behavior anymore." You said, "If you continue to speak to me like that, this conversation is over." And you meant it. To them, it probably looked like you had turned into a monster. They probably accused you of being cruel. They probably said, "You have changed." And you know what? They are right. You have changed. You have stopped being a doormat, and you have started being a high-value individual. You realized that you are a temple of the Holy Spirit, and you do not let people walk into a temple with muddy shoes. You do not let people bring trash into a holy place. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. It is stewardship. It is your job. But here is the part that terrified the angels. Here is the part that proves you are truly a chosen one. In the past, when you fought like that, it would ruin your whole week. You would spend days replaying the conversation in your head. You would feel guilty. You would feel sick to your stomach. You would carry that heavy, dark energy around with you for days. But look at what happened this time. 30 seconds later, just 30 seconds after you set that lethal boundary, you turned around, you walked into the kitchen, and you were back. You went back to being the loving grandmother. You went back to being the kind neighbor. You went back to praying for people. You went back to your joy. You didn't carry the bitterness. You didn't carry the resentment. You switched frequencies. You went from a warrior with a sword to a healer with a heart, all in the blink of an eye. That right there, that is a quantum leap. That is something the enemy cannot. The answer is simple. You didn't do it alone. You did it because you have finally accepted who you are. You accepted that your dark side is not a mistake. It is your bodyguard. Your darkness protects your light. Imagine a beautiful castle. Inside the castle there is music, there is feasting, there is warmth. That is your heart, that is your light. But outside the castle, on the walls, there are archers, there are guards with swords, there are high walls and deep moats. That is your dark side. The guards don't hate the people inside. The guards are there to make sure the people inside can dance in peace. If you didn't have the guards, the enemy would come in and destroy the party. For years, you tried to fire the guards. You tried to be open and vulnerable with everyone. And you got hurt, you got robbed. But now you have hired the guards back. You have put them on the wall, and you have permitted them to shoot when necessary. This is what it means to be built different. You are not mean. You are fortified. You are not cold. You are protected. And the people who are offended by your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. So let them be confused. Let them call you names. Let them tell everyone that you have changed. Smile and tell them, yes, I have. Tell them, I have had a system update. Tell them I am operating in a new season. Because the version of you that they could manipulate, she doesn't live here anymore. She has been promoted. She has stepped into her vindication season. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing. What can they do about it? Now, I need you to listen very closely, because what I'm about to share with you will explain why you have always felt alone. It will explain why you never fit in at the family reunion. It will explain why you feel like an alien at your workplace. And most importantly, it will explain why you are the black sheep who was chosen to save the flock. You see, in this life, there are three types of people. Most people spend their entire lives trapped in the first two groups. But you have graduated. You have paid a high price in tears and sleepless nights to enter the third group, and that is why the enemy is so afraid of you. Let's look at group number 1. I call them the doormats. These are the people who misunderstand the assignment. Maybe this was you 10 years ago. These are the sweet souls, the people who think that being spiritual means having no boundaries. They think that being a good Christian means you have to say yes to everything. They have been taught that if you set a boundary, you are being mean. They have been taught that if you protect your peace, you are being selfish. So what happens? They become an open buffet for energy vampires. They walk around with their hearts wide open, but they have no walls. They have no gates. And so, every narcissist, every manipulator, every user in town knows exactly where to go to get a free meal. These people have light, they have love, but they have no sword, they have no shield. They get eaten alive by the world. They give and they give until they are empty. And then they wonder why God hasn't blessed them. They wonder why they are always tired. The tragedy of Group 1 is that they are good people, but they are not effective warriors. They cannot fight the darkness because they are too busy letting the darkness walk all over them. They are waiting for a vindication season that never comes because they refuse to lock the door. Then, we have group number 2. These are the bitter souls. These are the people who started out in Group 1. They got hurt, they got betrayed, they got used one too many times, and something inside them broke. Instead of healing, they decided to build a fortress of ice. They said to themselves, never again, I will never let anyone hurt me again. So they swung to the complete opposite extreme. They became hard, they became suspicious. They look at everyone as a potential enemy. They look at every new blessing as a potential trap. They think they are protecting themselves, but in reality, they are in a prison of their own making. The darkness didn't just hurt them, it consumed them. They became what they hated. They looked at the monster for so long that they started to act like the monster. They confuse cruelty with strength. They confuse paranoia with wisdom. These people have plenty of darkness. They have plenty of swords, but they have lost their light. They have blocked their own blessings because they pushed everyone away, even the people God sent to help them. They are stuck in a loop of karmic debt, replaying the same battles over and over again. They are bitter, they are lonely, and their soul is withering away. But then there is group number 3. There is you. I want you to put your hand on your heart right now, because you need to acknowledge this. You are a rarity. You are the outlier. You are the top 1% mindset that the world is desperate for. You are what I call the integrated warrior. You see, you have been hurt just like group 2. You have the scars to prove it. You have been in the trenches. You have seen the ugly side of human nature. You know what it feels like to be stabbed in the back by someone you loved. But here is the miracle. Here is the unfair advantage. You didn't let the bitterness take root. You felt the anger. Yes. You felt the rage. Yes. But you didn't build a house there. You processed it. You prayed through it. You did the shadow work. And you came out on the other side with a heart of gold, but a backbone of steel. You hold the paradox. You are the lion and the lamb. You are the storm and the shelter. You have the capacity to be incredibly dangerous to the enemy, but you choose to be kind. You have the power to destroy someone with your words. You have the receipts. You know their secrets. You could ruin their reputation with one phone call. That is your dark side. That is your power. But you choose grace. You choose to walk away. You choose to let God handle the instant karma. That choice is what makes you powerful. A rabbit is harmless because it has to be. It has no teeth. It has no claws. But a lion is harmless only when it chooses to be. You are the lion. You have the teeth. You have the claws. You have the roar. But you keep them sheathed until it is necessary. This is the Sigma mindset of the kingdom. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to prove anything. You know who you are. You are the inner circle of God's plan for this generation. And this brings us back to that conversation the angels had, the one we talked about earlier. When they look at you, they don't just see a human. They see a generational curse breaker. They see someone who looked at the dysfunction in their family line and said, "It stops with me." Your mother might have been a doormat. Your father might have been a bitter soul, but you are the system update. You are the evolved version. You are the one who finally figured out the code. You learned that you can love people from a distance. You learned that you can forgive someone without letting them back into your house. You learned that no is a complete sentence. And you learned that protecting your energy is a form of worship. This is the top 1%. This is the high-value individual. Most people die without ever reaching this level. They die angry, or they die used. But you are alive, and you are thriving. You are operating in God mode. And because of this, the spiritual hierarchy has shifted around you. The angels are whispering, if she can do this, if she can walk through the fire of divorce, if she can walk through the fire of sickness, if she can walk through the fire of betrayal and come out smelling like roses, then there is nothing she cannot do. You are the one your ancestors waited for. Think about your grandmother. Think about her mother. Think about the women in your bloodline who didn't have a voice, who couldn't leave, who couldn't fight back. They are cheering for you right now. They are watching you from the great cloud of witnesses, and they are saying, "Look at her, she is doing it. She is breaking the cycle." You are recovering the ground that they lost. You are collecting the infinite ROI on their prayers. So please, do not look at your sensitivity as a weakness. Do not look at your firm boundaries as a sin. You are the perfect balance. You are the spiritual asset that this world is starving for. You are not too hard. You are not too soft. You are the iron fist in the velvet glove. And that, my dear chosen one, is exactly why you are still standing when everyone else has fallen. So, now that you understand who you are, now that you know you are a chosen one with a backbone of steel, the question is, how do you live this out? How do you wake up tomorrow morning and walk in this power without losing your softness? I want to give you 4 practical strategies. These are not just tips, these are weapons. Strategy number 1. I call this checking the receipts. You know how you check your grocery bill to make sure you weren't overcharged? You need to start doing that with the people in your life. when someone new approaches you, or when an old enemy tries to come back around. Do not just listen to their words. Words are cheap. Anyone can say, "I love you." Anyone can say, "I have changed." Instead, I want you to look at their actions. Do the numbers add up? If their mouth says, "I respect you," but their actions show that they don't value your time, then the receipts are fake. If they say they want to help you, but they disappear every time you are in need, then the transaction is fraudulent. Do not ignore that little voice in your stomach, that feeling that says something is off. That is not just a feeling. That is your spiritual asset. That is the Holy Spirit giving you discernment. Trust it. If the math doesn't make sense, close the register and walk away. Strategy number 2. This one is powerful. It is called return to sender. We live in a world where people love to throw dirt. They love to gossip. They love to project their own unhappiness onto you. In the past, you would try to catch that dirt. You would hold on to it. You would try to clean it up. You would argue. You would defend yourself. But operating in God mode means you stop accepting packages that don't belong to you. When someone insults you, silence. When someone tries to bait you into a fight, silence. When you refuse to argue, you are essentially holding up a spiritual mirror. You are bouncing that negative energy right back to the person who sent it. That is instant karma. You don't have to get revenge. You don't have to get even. You just have to refuse the delivery. Let them sit in their own mud while you stay clean. Strategy number 3, become the gatekeeper. I want you to imagine your peace is a beautiful garden. For years, you left the gate open. You let anyone walk in. You let them trample on your flowers. You let them leave their trash. And then you wondered why your garden was dying. You have to stop casting your pearls before swine. Scripture tells us this for a reason. It is not because the swine are evil. It is because swine do not know the value of pearls. They will just step on them. Stop giving your best advice to people who don't listen. Stop giving your deepest vulnerability to people who use it as a weapon against you. You are the gatekeeper of your soul. You get to decide who comes in, and you get to decide who stays out. Closing the gate is not being mean. It is being a high-value individual. If they want access to your light, they need to respect the property. It is that simple. And finally, strategy number 4, the spiritual glow-up. When you do these 3 things, when you check the receipts, when you return the negativity, and when you guard your gate, something miraculous happens. You stop looking tired. You stop looking drained. You start to radiate a different kind of energy. This is the real glow-up. It is not about makeup. It is not about a new dress. It is about your spirit becoming heavy with glory. You become untouchable. The enemy looks at you and realizes he can't trigger you anymore. The energy vampires look at you and realize they can't feed off you anymore. You become a warrior who is also a healer. You become dangerous to the darkness, not because you are loud, but because you are whole. Do not close this video without sealing this word deep in your spirit. The enemy wants to steal this revelation from you the moment you leave, because he knows you are dangerous when you are awake. But we are sealing it now. Your suffering was not a waste. It was an investment. And God is about to release an infinite ROI for every single tear you cried in secret. Let me pray over you. Father, I decree that their vindication season is no longer coming. It is here. Prepare the table in the presence of their enemies. Let those who treated them like a doormat witness them rise as a high-value individual. If you receive this power, you must declare it. Type 777 in the comments right now. Let this number be the signal that you are breaking the cycle for your entire bloodline. But do not stop here. Your system update requires one final step. The Holy Spirit is highlighting the video on your screen right now for a specific reason. It holds the key to maintaining your peace during this shift. Click it now to finish what God has started. Go in peace, warrior.